So, hello everyone. Today we will be talking with Pooja Sethi, who is an attorney and an activist, a nonprofit founder. She is one of the founding member of South Asian Austin Moms, one of the very active nonprofits here in Austin, in the cultural scene. And social service scene, and she's also one of the city commissioners in the Asian American Quality of Life Commission here in city of Austin. So Pooja, thanks so much for joining me here.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, in fact, the reason why we're meeting today, having some brief chat about what's going on during this time in the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. If you could give us some, from your field experience right now, if you could give us some insight about especially about the low-income population here in the Central Texas. How are things going with their life, and what we are doing through your volunteering and other activities?
Of course. So a lot of my work is in the immigrant communities, my day-to-day, especially my pre-COVID-19 work. And then I have a nonprofit that represents women and children who are have suffered from domestic abuse and domestic violence. So, just looking at those communities to start with, especially in the Asian community and broader, there are a lot of issues coming to play in terms of businesses being shut, people losing jobs, people not being eligible for stimulus checks. And then a lot of the community are healthcare workers, and they have to go to work, but they have daycare issues, like trying to find childcare when they have to go to the hospitals or things like that, and they may not be able to afford it, or all the money that they're earning during this time is actually going directly towards childcare. So that doesn't even touch into the amount of businesses that have had to shut down, where a lot of our South Asian communities, especially like just the restaurants and the grocery stores, the Asian and South Asian communities have had to close, and a lot of our Asian and South Asian communities actually work in those businesses. So just a lot of people are losing work every day. So we started this about a month ago when shelter in place first started to feed the homeless. And our plan was to do it very briefly until something came together, or assume that our shelter in place wasn't that long. But we realized that the needs of feeding people who are low income are getting bigger by the day during the shelter in place. And as this pandemic continues, it's not getting smaller, it's actually getting more. So the needs of feeding people who are food insecure and feeding people without homes, people who've lost their jobs, people who are stressed out for their children, the needs are growing bigger and bigger every single day. So that's we started a month ago of just a very grassroots organization of getting meals and getting them directly to people. And now we're combining so many resources across the city and across the county to kind of fulfill this need.
Well, yeah, it's pretty overwhelming time right now, and I mean, thank you to you and all the volunteers who are working right now directly with the homeless community. Do you have any particular findings or insight focusing the low-income South Asian and Asian American community here in Central Texas?
So a lot of my concerns for the Asian and South Asian community are number one, there are payment options that are out there, but I am very concerned about the outreach to the communities. I mean, how are the communities even learning about the stimulus payment? How do you know whether your business is eligible for a payment? How do you even get access to that? Is there translation? You know, what can you do? Because everything is so on a first come, first served basis. So if it's, you need to apply on this exact day at this exact time and to get the payment, and somebody doesn't even, they can't read everything, read through everything or understand everything, they're automatically starting 10 feet behind anybody else. So that's a big thing for our Asian and South Asian community is, are we offering access? Are we offering translation access and language access to these programs? The other thing is, a lot of people don't even realize that they're eligible for these things, because nobody is telling them, or there's a lot of assumptions made. Even for the undocumented in our communities, they think, understandably, that a lot of these things don't, they're not eligible because they don't have documentation, but that's not true. There are options across the city, across the county, that you can get some payments. There are things that we can do in our communities to help, but it's really hard. We're trying to, even through the RISE program with the city, we're working really hard to make sure that everybody who needs that gap of funding to maintain their home and put the next meal on the table, we want to make sure that everyone has it.
Well, so when you were talking about the Asian and South Asian community, I just want to make sure and probe that question a little bit, what do you mean by that? And when we talk about Asian community, are South Asians the Asian part of the Asian community, you think?
Yes, I mean, we are one big Asian community, and Asian, South Asian, we're all together. We're all in this together. And as someone who is Indian Indian American and from the South Asian community, I, along with so many of us, truly, truly stand with the Chinese community. Do not condone any of the racism that's happening. In fact, we all find it quite appalling, but we stand with the Chinese community and condemn the racism that's been going on against the communities. It's filled with so much fear mongering, and it's hateful and unnecessary, especially in this time of like anguish and despair and panic that so many of us are dealing with. And then on top of that, to have the community and our community dealing with this is completely unnecessary.
I totally agree with you on this, and that's probably made me to think of doing something with what I have around love and music. I mean, I'm so glad that you and so many other community actors came forward to support this initiative, a very small civic initiative I have taken. So would you please tell me a little bit what made you to support it, and also coming here and giving us some time?
Well, I would say, so one thing, even before COVID-19 hit, artists and supporting the artists in our community have always been a major passion of mine, and it's beautiful. And bringing what the event is doing is bringing some of the most beautiful artists together, and raising money for the underserved, the low-income populations, as well as our healthcare providers. And when you have such a beautiful event where you're supporting artists and culture, and you get to do help the underserved, I mean, it's kind of a win-win-win, an event like this, and giving back and supporting and donating to.
Yes, well, thank you so much for your support, and as all the community advocates who are out there supporting the artists. Yes, it is a very difficult time for the artists and for general members who have been sitting home stuck, and our aim is to uplift the community spirit a little bit, and also, of course, to raise the money. So thank you so much, Pooja, for your time. We really look forward to this event, and I believe you and your family and your community members, everybody will enjoy the event. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this.